Hey, welcome back. We're going to start on chapter 8, which is channel strategy. And you dealt a little bit with this in your case on First in Show. Um, where do you distribute your product, and how do you get it to the consumer that wants it? Um, haven't read through all your cases yet, but I assume that some of you came up with some different kinds of channel strategies than maybe the one that First in Show was um, thinking about, and some of you stayed with their channel strategy. So, this is a very important part of marketing. It's the place part of marketing. And it is also a very, very important part, or logistics play a lot, have a lot of influence on how companies choose a channel strategy. So logistics is a big part of place. So it depends on the kind of product you're selling, the kind of consumer that you're trying to reach or to satisfy the consumer need. And it has to do with your own infrastructure and how you can successfully deliver products. So um, here's your basic definition: how, when, and where to make goods and services available to customers. And for the most part in this section, in this chapter, I'm going to be talking about consumer products, but the channel strategies apply equally um, to business products. So how do I get my product to my customer? When do I get it there? And where do I make those goods available to my customer? And the strategies and the theories around channel strategy apply equally to consumer goods as well as business to business goods. So we can, even though I'm going to use consumer examples for the most part, because they're a little easier for most of us to understand, um, the business to business side, pretty much the same. So um, the basic way that products move is they go from a producer through some kind of an intermediary, usually, not always, through some kind of an intermediary, so some channel member, and then they go to consumers. Um, so that these intermediaries can be different kinds of um, organizations. Uh, they may be retailers, they may be wholesalers, they may be brokers, or all sorts of different kinds of intermediaries. But the producer produces the product and then has to get it to consumers, and you want to find the most effective and most efficient way to get it to consumers. So you might think, just intellectually, that the most efficient way is not to have any intermediaries, no middlemen. Therefore, you don't have to pay the middlemen and you can deliver your product more efficiently directly to your consumer. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's more efficient to use middlemen. And we're going to talk about that. And that's why intermediaries exist. That's why retailers exist. That's why wholesalers exist. That's why brokers exist. Um, because they reduce friction in the marketplace and actually add efficiencies as opposed to adding costs. So how we set things up, first of all, we have to know, we've already done all of this stuff. We have to know what our segmentation strategy is. So what segment of the market are we trying to reach? If we don't know our segmentation strategy, then we're not going to be able to come up with the best marketing channels. Same thing with communication strategy. How are we going to communicate our information to consumers? That has a lot to do with how we set up our marketing channels. Pricing, once again, how are we going to price our product? And then offerings. You might ask, why would, let's say, pricing have anything to do with my marketing channels? Well, think about it. If you're selling a product, and let's say your pricing strategy is to price yourself as a upmarket or luxury good, do you think that you want to choose a marketing channel like, say, Walmart to sell your upmarket luxury good? Is that going to be the right strategy? Is that going to enhance your communication strategy by, you've already figured out your pricing strategy, is your communication strategy going to be affected by which marketing channels you choose? I think so. We all have, as consumers, we all have ideas about the kinds of products that are sold in certain kinds of places. So if we're looking to have a upmarket, upscale product, we probably don't want to sell it in a mass market channel like Walmart. So that's kind of the kind of thing. So we need to know segmentation, communication, pricing, and then how are we going to offer this product? Is it offered as an individual product? Is it bundled with other products? How do we offer this product? So those are all really important decisions that are going to affect my channel selection. So when choosing a channel selection, I have to choose the type of channel that I'm going to use. So let's say we just talked about mass market retailer. Do I want to market through a mass market retailer, through a specialty retailer, through an exclusive retailer, direct to the consumer? Do I need locations that are close to my consumers, or are my consumers going to be willing to deal with people who aren't so close? Do I need lots of distribution, a dense distribution system, or a sparse distribution system? And what kind of functions do those intermediaries, what are they going to have to carry out? What things are they going to have to do in order to facilitate the consumer's needs? So if I'm selling large items, I may need delivery. If I'm selling sophisticated items, I may need service. So there are lots of different kinds of functions I may be trying to provide. And it depends on what my product is and what my marketing strategy is. So just as a definition, when I'm creating a marketing channel, the more intermediaries I have, the longer the channel length. So if I'm selling direct to the consumer, then I have a short channel. If I have two levels of wholesaler, a broker, two levels of wholesalers, and then it goes to retail and then to consumer, then I have a long channel length. And all of those structures exist in the world. So let's look at this next chart, which shows all the possibilities for a marketing channel. So as the producer, across the top here, we have the producer. As the producer, I can choose to go direct to my consumer. If we start on the right here, I can go direct to my consumer. I can go direct to a retailer or a dealer and then to my consumer. I can go to a wholesaler who then goes to a retailer and then goes to the consumer. Or I can go to a broker or a sales agent who goes to a wholesaler, who sells to a retailer, who goes to the ultimate consumer, and so forth. Or I can skip the consumer and go broker, distributor, consumer, or I can just go broker, consumer. So lots of different possibilities, and this is just these are the 5 basic tiers of distribution. Sometimes there are master distributors and then wholesalers. So you might have 2 levels here. You might have a master distributor and then a wholesaler and then the retailer. That's another way to do it. You may have different kinds of brokers and agents. So you may have brokers who are, I think in your case study earlier, you had rack jobbers when you did Parvoderm. Rack jobbers are agents or brokers for cosmetic products, and they actually act as the salesperson and also provide the service of setting up the racks in the store. So that's what a rack jobber does. They have people that go out and organize the racks and make sure they're in the right place and make sure they're stocked to zillions of drugstores. So that's a rack jobber. That's a kind of agent, or they generally don't take possession of products, so they're usually not considered distributors or wholesalers. So distributors or wholesalers actually buy the product and resell it. Brokers and agents act as an intermediary and usually work on a commission. So they never take ownership of the product. They merely facilitate the sale of the product. So that's the basic outline. So this is just the introduction. We're going to go forward in part 2, looking at in more depth in all of the different kinds of choices. But remember this chart, because this chart tells you a lot. How do I get my product to whoever it is that I'm selling it to? Think about that. How do I get the product here to here? And how do I do it in the way that best provides efficiency and effectiveness? How do I do that? That's the challenge, and channel makeup is how we put it together, and it's usually a choice by the producer as to how this is set up. So we have to figure out what our choices need to be, and changing it, we'll talk about that also, can be a very can be important to do, but it also can be very, very difficult to change an existing marketing channel design. Okay, that's it for part 1.